Hi everyone, Pinholio Grammarman here with my very first ever Q&A. It's celebrating the 5,000 subscriber milestone. Thank you so much again to everyone who has subscribed. You guys are the best. This channel really is nothing without you guys, so thank you, each and every one of you, for making that happen. Onwards and upwards, this channel is gonna really grow in the future. I collected all your questions and I've sorted them into a couple categories here as listed on the left. We'll just burn through them and you can skip ahead if you want, but I encourage you to stick around for all of them. First one here is the same question, basically. What inspired you to start making videos? Simply put, it was not seeing on YouTube. It was the lack of content that I really wanted to see. Long-form, in-depth explication of the many historical chapters of hockey are so hard to find on YouTube if they're there at all. I'm sure some people out there have had cracks at it, but there's no real consistent stream of that kind of content that I could find when I first started, so I figured I'll just do it myself. What other YouTubers inspire your videos? John Boy's. That's it, really. To address the elephant in the room, obviously I dig John Boy's Chart Party style of dark background set to sports stories in Google Earth animation. And some people really, really do not appreciate that. But most of you know already, I'm obviously not trying to be him. I can't tell stories like he can. If I was trying to be John Boy's, this channel would suck because I would be bad at something that only he can do. Saying I'm straight up ripping off his shtick, though, just isn't true. My love for storytelling, stats, and video tomfoolery predates any YouTuber I've ever come across. It's more like I saw a way to do the things I always wanted to do after I saw a series like Chart Party. That style is only there for like half my videos anyway. Onto the personal category. How did you get into hockey? What got you into hockey? Etc., etc. The year was 2004. I was walking out of the front doors of my elementary school when my dad gave me, I think, a birthday present. It was some kind of gift. It was Madden 04 and NHL 04, both for the PC. And those games changed my life. I played them all the time and still do on occasion. My dad was just getting into the swing of hockey again, I think, as well. I never got to ask him, but he had Game 6 of the Calgary-Detroit series on tape, and Steve Levy's call of that Jelena goal was the first hockey clip I ever saw. And he also had Game 7 of Tampa-Calgary on another tape, which was the first game I ever saw. Talk about setting the bar high. I also played hockey for 12 years starting then, had a grand old time, and still play every once in a while. What made you such a fan of Washington? Was it because that's who you grew up with watching, or was a certain player team year that made you a fan? Funny enough, when I first started getting into hockey, I was not a fan of Washington. I'm a very visual fellow, and especially so I was as a kid, so in NHL 04, I saw this shape and this jersey, and I thought, wow, what a great shape and what a great jersey. And I adopted the Colorado Avalanche as my favorite team. My dad even bought me a tiny Forsberg jersey that looks very cute. What nobody told me for about 3 years is that you're supposed to root for the team that's closest to you, and once I found that there was a team close to where I was, in DC, over time they became my favorite team. But my viewing was sporadic. For some reason, in 2015, everything just clicked and I started watching every Caps game I could. Unfortunately, it was around that time that their heartbreak was reaching an all-time high, but they got better. Which brings me to, if you had one hockey moment you can relive, what would it be? I'm going to split this into two questions. Reliving a hockey memory and redoing a hockey memory. Relive would easily be the Game 7 watch party, Caps against Lightning in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2018. I went into that game thinking, you know, we beat Pittsburgh, we've gone to Game 7 in the East Final against the best team in the conference. If this is the end, that's okay. Seats in the lower bowl with my friends from the rink I worked at, Caps alum and personalities all around, going absolutely nuts, and the Caps won 4-0. I remember there was a stoppage in play with about 12 seconds left in the game, and I recorded on my phone saying, 12 seconds to glory, just screaming over the already screaming crowd that was in the arena. And then the 3 stars popped up and they were all Caps and I was like, ah, and the arena was like, ah. It was really a great time. Conversely, the memory I would redo is the night the Caps actually won the cup. Again, I was with friends in downtown DC. You've seen all the pictures, but we got split up, so I was with just one. It was literally standing room only. It smelled like sweat and beer and weed. It was gross. I had a terrible view. There was a tree blocking my view of one half of each of the monitors against the National Portrait Gallery. 2 dudes in front of me were being complete a-holes. They opened a beer and it shot into my eye. There was a TV truck behind us on which some drunk college kids were raining either beer or piss down onto us. People started to uproot signs and tear the branches off trees when the clock hit zeros. To top it all off, the parking garage where my car was shaped like a pair of underground lungs. But I thought it was just the one lung, so when I went down to search for my car in the wrong lung, I thought my car was stolen for over half an hour because I couldn't find it, so I needed my dad to come pick me up. If the Capitals had not won the Stanley Cup that night, it would have been the single worst experience I've ever had watching a hockey game. If I could do it over again, I would have stayed home with my family. At least I was with them when we beat the Penguins, and that was just about as cathartic. Now for my smorgasbord of motley crew of opinions. What defunct NHL team do you miss the most? The Thrashers. Gorgeous uniforms, and one of the only original color schemes in the Eastern Conference. I also have family in Atlanta who would watch a game or two of theirs every once in a while, and now that we're grown, it would be fun to go down there and watch a game with them. What's your favorite NHL jersey of all time? Does it have your favorite NHL logo of all time on it, or is that a different story? That is from Icewire. Please go subscribe to him. The Avalanche for both. Like I said, this image and color scheme imprinted on me when I was a kid. The font on the back is great. The color balance, the black as the pants, gloves, and helmet, not blue. It looked fantastic. There's some other close seconds. The Old and New Stars, Robo Penguin, controversial. The Wild, Anything Kachina, the Mighty Ducks, the Goat Head, and the Black Sea of the early 2000s. Apart from Lanny himself, who has the greatest mustache in NHL history, asking for a friend? Well, I can't really answer this because all mustaches in the NHL are just an extension of Lanny McDonald's mustache, so every best mustache is Lanny McDonald's mustache. Since you are a Caps fan, what team do you hate the most? What year was your favorite postseason? Bias aside, this one's really hard to say. I think it's really tough to have a playoff year that isn't just straight up good, at the very least. So any of them could slot in here, really, but probably 2014. Probably because since my team wasn't in it, I could appreciate the hockey in it a lot more, since I had no stake in what was happening, really. I followed the Avs and Mini, Wild Chicago, and Habs Rangers, I think. But at the time, I watched highlights of all of these series. What's a team that was mediocre to terrible that you had really liked? This year's Caps, but also the Coyotes. Any historical Coyotes team, really. I like them because they've never won anything. Who was your favorite goaltender growing up? I didn't really pay attention to goaltenders that much, but I would have to say David Abisher. He was the starter for the Avs in NHL 04, and that is a really cool name. That's it, really. Child Pinholes doesn't need good reasons. Are there any other fascinating enigma players like Braden Holtby? Plenty. 75% of all goalies, centers who don't play defense, defense who don't play defense. Every team has at least one player on it who just boggles and flabbergasts. What's your favorite player, present or retired, that's not on the Capitals? Excluding obvious answers like superstars, I'd say either Alex Tanguay or Danny Briere. Both had a pretty similar style, too. Who's a Caps player that pleasantly surprised you during the 22-23 season? All of the new signings. Dylan Strome had a career year, Sonny Milano was a great pickup, Gustafsson, Johansson, Sandin, Kemper. Brian McClellan plugged all the holes he needed to coming into this season. It was just everyone else that took a step back. If you could have anything that another sport does, what would you want for the NHL? I'd take from baseball, and I'd take Gary Thorne. You are unilaterally elected the supreme monarch of all hockey for one day. With this comes the ability to pick one player from NHL history and award them a Stanley Cup. Any player at all for any reason at all. It doesn't have to be a player who never won one. It can be anyone. Who do you pick and why? Nobody would accept my award. That's the problem. They would want to have earned it after months of grueling playoff hockey. They won't just take it. But if I could coerce them with some gooey camembert, Henrik Lundqvist. How are you not more famous? Good point. I should pretend to be a cute girl and sell pictures of my toes. Now, questions on video production. The one I got the most was, what editing software/program do you use to put together your content? Where did you learn to edit? I taught myself to edit. I use HitFilm Express for video editing. It's free. It's okay. That's about it. For the cool graphic shenanigans, I use Google Earth Pro, wonderfully tutorialized by Bobby Broccoli here. Do go check it out if you get a chance. Another good question is, which video of mine that I made am I most proud of or was most fun to make? Easily Playoffs Past Zero. Please go watch it if you haven't. I love telling stories, so having free reign to go buck wild was a treat and a half. I am so proud of it. For serious videos, though, I'd say my first video, the finals rankings. I really wanted to come out strong there. The only thing I would change is I'd put more oomph into my narration. I think I've gotten better over time. My best playoff past, I think, is the Maple Leafs and Islanders one. Everything just clicks. As for my least favorite, that's tough. Whenever I'm finished editing something and I'm exporting it or uploading it, at that stage, I hate it. Because I know all of the editing process to that point, I'm just kind of sick of it. And then I get wonderful comments from all you lovely people about how much you enjoyed it, and then I like it again. But if I had to pick a video that I don't get excited about just thinking about more so than the others, probably Wings Kings. I had already covered the Wings so much, yeah. It's okay, it's not a bad video at all. How much time usually goes into these videos, and what does your average day look like when you work on them? Well, it depends. For shorter ones, it takes about 2 weeks or so if I really apply myself, but for playoffs past and longer videos, the better part of a month. As far as it looks, the whole process just looks like Coraline's dad. When are you going to make this or that video? Never. But seriously, I need to address the playoffs past series suggestions. I love it when you guys have suggestions for new series to cover, but I also want to make sure that I'm clear about what you can expect as far as what I'm going to make for you. For me, vetting a series to pick, which above all else is my choice on whether or not I make, it needs at least 3 of the following, in no particular order. Most suggestions I get are only one of these. Maybe 2. But what inspired me to create this series in the first place was bringing back to light lesser-known playoff series that have fallen out of memory to people who aren't a fan of those 2 teams that played in it. 2019 Bolts Jackets I get quite a lot, and that's E. It might be C, but that's it. Any Stanley Cup Finals is by default not going to be B, so it really needs to hit home on the other 4. See what I mean? I'm not saying I'm gonna stick by these to the letter every single time, but they are the first things I consider when picking a series. Playoffs Past 2, Islanders Maple Leafs, mentioned before, is the perfect example of what I'm looking for. Which player, series, or topic do you wish you could cover that you don't feel would justify a full video? I'm gonna say nothing right now because I will find a way to make a video out of something that I really want to, even if it's really short. Another hot question, what piece of data while researching did I find that was extremely surprising or interesting? Well, when I was doing research for the Avalanche and Red Wings video, I came across some very interesting tidbits that got more and more interesting the more I looked about Valerie Kamensky and the number 1. I will make a video on it. If you were to do any playoffs past on a series that the Pens played in, which would it be? By the way, if you're a Pens fan, thank you for sticking around. I know I rib on the Penguins a bit, but it's all in good humor, and it's never meant to be taken that seriously. Bias aside, I'd pick 2012 against the Flyers. It was absolutely bonkers. I've already had a few requests for it anyway. No promises, though, but it's definitely got a lot going for it. Where do you get your stats from for things like the Cup Run videos and the Stanley Cup Final videos? NaturalStatTrick.com. It's a totally free site. It's very cool. What's something you want to make a video on in the future, whether it's hockey related or not? That's a great question, and you have a great username. There's this video game I really enjoy called Infra. You play as a structural engineer who has to travel throughout the infrastructure of a city called Stallberg and uncover a corruption plot and stop the city from falling apart, literally. It's soothing, it's intriguing, it's terrifying. It's just a blast. It wouldn't be an appropriate upload for this channel without checking with my audience first, but if I ever upload something non-hockey, it would be a review of Infra. Are you going to do more content with fake leagues from the NHL video games? I quite enjoyed that video. I would love to. Later. Playoffs Past 0 absolutely drained me. It was so much fun, but so much work as well. I commentated all 7 games all the way through, screaming at the top of my lungs, shut into my bedroom closet to record. I need a break from that for a while. I would only upload a fake league kind of thing on a holiday, like April Fool's or Christmas or National Just Because Day or something. So that's basically all the questions for now. Thank you to everyone who asked. I got to all the ones that I felt would be best to answer in this. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a lot about me and my diseased mind. You can expect a video soon. I'm not sure whether or not it will be a Weird Stories of Hockey episode or a standalone analysis, but it will be coming up sometime soon, so look out for that. Thank you all so much for watching again. Thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. Have a great rest of your day.